About something that is really sad. The other day I was looking up physiatrist because my sister-in-law said maybe you need to see a physiatrist. So we found one and I made an appointment. Turns out my chiropractor agrees that that's the best course of action for now, because we need to establish that it's safe to do chiropractic work. Unfortunately, they can't order MRIs of anything because of my insurance, particular insurance, but somebody can. The sadness is I looked it up again today, because I looked it up yesterday. It seemed like there was no physiatrist in Tyler, Texas. And something said today, look up physiatrist, Tyler, Texas. Tons of them, even more than they're here in Amarillo. But I couldn't find one. Didn't even know one existed there. Then I find out that the doctor that had done my lower lumbar, the one that let me call him at home, and that's probably where he has that side of him, and other things I'm sure in his life, is a physiatrist. So I'm not sure that he had the full information. And I'm not blaming anybody, but I think the system got a little muddled. And again, I told you that the deep state, shadow government, criminal enterprise, their devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers are in your minds, blocking you from realizations and understanding what's being said to you, processing it, and then again sending that information to other places. So that doctor should have been told about my back cramps causing the leg thing. And in today's world, a lot of times you don't see the doctor until you're on the table to get the procedure. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the nurse practitioner, but somewhere along the way, the information never made it to where it needed to, because the doctor actually needed to look at how this event was occurring. And I think he would concur that there may have been something else going on. He is somebody that checks nervous system issues from the neck and back. He does nerve testing. That's one of the things that they should have done. He also does rehabilitation. But the thing wouldn't let me I couldn't get to physical rehab. I couldn't get to rehab. Rehabilitation, what do they call it? Physical rehabilitation, I guess they call it. I couldn't get to that because I had not been properly screened. Because a lot of times you get the physical rehabilitation, and unless they tell you that person everything, they're not going to start from scratch. They're going to run you through a whole bunch of things based upon what they were told. And then what happens is, additional damage, so on. Then that's where the chiropractor was. He was like, whoops, hang on a second. You're having issue with some of these manipulations. So we need to get more information. But, that should have happened. This whole idea that you ignore, my family doctor did too, they ignore that I'm saying that my upper back is cramping, and that's what's causing it, and then there's a piriformis part of it. Now, as far as this cramping in my back, I've worked it pretty well. It's a lot less crampy than it was. However, the right side's got a part that's holding on. But if I were to punch right now, it lets go. Now, that wouldn't have happened 4 days ago. Because I would punch and punch with the other side just to compare my punches to see where it was holding. And there is like a tingling feeling in the left back. So it all has to be looked at from a larger perspective than just the lumbar spine. And that's where I was and am. But because the epidural steroid had helped last time. But what I'm beginning to realize is I had received shortly thereafter steroid shots in my shoulders. And I look at the photo of when I arrived in, and I thought it was a steroid epidural. It may not have been. It may have been something different. It looked like he was doing an epidural. When I looked at the photo when I arrived in Espanola, I was bloated. There was a ton of steroid that had been injected into my body, and it healed me. It released everything, and I moved forward rather swiftly. Now, I was talking with somebody, and talk is cheap, so I removed that. I was speaking with somebody that I speak to here, and she said, there's a doctor you need to see if you're looking for somebody that might give you steroid shots. And it happened to be the doctor I have an appointment with next Tuesday. But this is what happens when the deep state puts itself in somebody's life. Being in somebody's life is being in spirit also. I mean, it's an evil world. They got what they wanted. They caused my body to be bent and broken. Well, Jesus said, you know, you're no better than the master. They're going to bend you and break you. That's your government. The rest is an illusion. Put out there to cover over their Nazi communist empire, and it's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not Green Party, it's all of the above, including everything outside of politics. Wherever they need to offend in a community, they will offend. They don't care. They're living the high life. They're paid well to be devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers. And you all think it's some sort of law and order. And I'm not dinging the president. Just because he used that term, I mean, I used that term before. There are murders being committed every day by government and private sector people, including quote-unquote private investigators, using psychological warfare, psychological torture, surreptitious drugging. There's surreptitious drugging going on out there. Exactly where, I can't tell you. But I know it happened to me. So again, these are the things that are holding our nation back and holding this world back from ever being anything other than what it's going to be versus what it was. The harder you make it for me to go back to real life, the harder it's going to be for you to get back to real life in this country, that be the world. Well, remember, no violence. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.